Namaskar friends, through literary lens with yet another episode, and today as usual I am Rajesh Asudani Raqeeb.
Namaskar, this is Dr Vinod Asudani.
And today Vinodji, we will hear a poem from you, your own poem.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
And not only we will listen to the poem, but as usual we will discuss it also, and we will hear from horse's mouth what he has to say about his own poem, and I will also present my opinions. But first, let us hear the wonderful poem called Mother's Curse.
Yeah, so this is my latest poem, Curse of Mother.
Yeah, Curse of Mother.
Still echo words in the winds of world. Still echo words in the winds of world. All wars are won. Troubled Tiresias, stunned Stetson.
Yeah.
Troubled Tiresias, stunned Stetson, horrified Hercules, irritated Achilles, annoyed Arjun. Troubled Tiresias, stunned Stetson, horrified Hercules, irritated Achilles, annoyed Arjun. With loathing looks, condemn their conscience. With loathing looks, condemn their conscience. With one voice, they proclaim the greatest tragedy that can ever befall on mother. The greatest tragedy that can ever befall on mother carrying corpses of her own sons on shoulders. All mothers are one. Are you lunatic? Is no sense left? Are you lunatic? Is no sense left? Don't you know? Young and healthy sons go to war.
Yeah.
Be aware of curse of mother. Be aware of curse of mother. Bewildered is Buddha. Mute is Mahavira. Numb is Nanak. Be aware of curse of mother. Bewildered is Buddha. Mute is Mahavira. Numb is Nanak. Be aware of curse of mother. Thank you.
Oh, definitely, Vinodji. All of us are stunned to hear this poem of yours, The Curse of Mother. And indeed, it says a lot and it leaves a lot to be said. So, what I understand of the poem is that the poet has tried to make us aware of the undue destructive power of the war. As the poet says, all wars are won. And I believe these lines are from Westland, because you are alluding to Tiresias, you are alluding to Staten.
Yes, exactly.
And, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely right. Because unfortunately, human race, right from its inception, has glorified war. They believe that participation in the war, and if death comes as a result of war, one becomes martyr. People become hero not by serving the lands, but very often sacrificing themselves for the sake of land, for the sake of faith, for the sake of belief, or for the sake of ideal. Whatever may be the reasons.
And nowadays the patriotism is in fashion for the country.
Yes.
My country, right or wrong.
Whether it's a small piece,
Yeah.
as it was in the times of tribal kingdoms, or it is a modern nation state. Wars are being fought and they are glorified, and this is the tragedy. I have tried to evoke the famous and great heroes who have performed in the Western wars, the Trojan War, Achilles and Hercules, as well as in the great battle of Mahabharata, Arjuna.
And the thing is that we as a human race, we have tried never to question the validity of the conflict. To give you a very simple example, when a person fights on behalf of one's country, he is a martyr, but for the other country, he is a villain. So, in this way, simply we glorify the conflict in the name of sometimes tribe, sometimes city state, sometimes religion, sometimes region, sometimes a piece of land, and whatnot.
Exactly,
So-
but this poem is not describing, not touching whether the war is for religion or
Yeah, yeah.
nation for any ideal.
This is
War is
universal.
destructive.
War
All wars are one.
per se, war by itself is a destructive act, and all mothers are one.
Exactly, because if you look at carefully, who are soldiers? They are the young and healthy sons. Often they go to the war, and any war, it results in the victory of one party and the defeat of other. But both of the sides suffer loss of young life. So mothers suffer greatly. It is the loss to the mother, right?
Mother stands for generation.
Yes.
Mother stands for peace and growth. So the generation as well as the nurture. Whereas the war is diametrically opposite to the principle of motherhood. It stands for destruction totally.
Exactly, and their impersonal voice is heard in the poem. Are you lunatic? Is no sense left? Don't you know? Young and healthy sons go to war. So this is the universal voice. Perhaps it is the voice spoken in unison by the souls of all the great war heroes. Perhaps.
And tragically, Vinodji, nowadays even daughters.
Exactly, daughters,
So
right?
that's a tragedy.
Yeah, because but traditionally the war,
Yeah.
the sons have lost their life,
Yeah.
and if we bring those heroes back to the modern times, perhaps they would regret their action that they did fight these kind of destructive wars. And
And amongst all the galaxy of heroes which you refer, those warriors of the yesteryears, one stands out prominently, Vinodji.
Yes.
And I especially draw your attention to Arjun, because it is he, the Arjun, only Arjun, who stands in the midst of the battlefield and questions the very purpose, very validity, very legitimacy of the war.
exactly, and see, we will not venture into the endless debate whether Krishna's answers really satisfy Arjuna or not.
That's for another day.
That is for the another day. But somewhere he is aware that what he is going to do is not right. That is enough. That is enough to understand the futility of war.
And none of the other great warriors have ever paused and pondered as to the futility of the war. Maybe now, if they are resurrected, and hindsight, if they look, they will condemn it. Surely they will condemn it, as did Ashoka.
Exactly.
After fighting the war where more than 1 lakh people lost, the war of Kalinga, he is perhaps the only monarch in the history of the world
Who realized the futility of war and gave up war.
Gave it up.
Forever. And the impersonal voice,
Yeah.
or the voice of the speaker of this poem draws the attention of the readers and the listeners to the fact that why we are not aware of curse of mother.
Yeah. When the principle of generation and regeneration is trampled like anything by wars and destruction, won't the mother curse?
And ironically enough, India is the land of Buddha. It
Yeah.
is the land of Mahavira, and it is the land of Nanak.
All three are
these-
dumbstruck at the end.
Yeah, because they all are the apostles of peace. They have preached peace. They have preached non-violence. But in spite of that, if the wars continue to be there anywhere, it's not the question of India.
Yeah.
Because these great people, their voice is to be heard by entire humanity. So wars are still there in spite of the teaching of Buddha, in spite of the teaching of Mahavira, in spite of the sermons of Nanaka. And therefore, in the end, the poem comes to these three great people, and bewildered is Buddha, mute is
Mute
Mahavira,
is Mahavir.
and numb is
Nam
Nanak.
is Nanak.
So these phrases,
These are very haunting images, Vinodji.
Yeah,
These
they-
are very, very much haunting images, and one is at a loss to think as to whatever they have done, despite their preachings, teachings, and deeds, still we are caught up in the vicious circle of war.
so it is a kind of disrespect to Nanak, to Buddha, and even to Mahavira. The moment we think of violence, the moment we think of waging a war, it is antithesis of the entire message of these great people.
And let us just, I would say, a couple of sentences about Buddha. Traditionally, we are given to know that Buddha left his palace and went in search of a cause of suffering.
Yes.
Because he was, surprised to see the old age, the disease, and the death. But actually, I don't think it is so. Even Dr. Ambedkar also has written in his Buddha and his Dhamma that this is very naive to believe that a prince of 32 years would not have seen old age, disease, and death, or even would not have heard about them. No. Actually, Buddha left his kingdom because he witnessed regular conflicts between his kingdom and the neighbors on water. So he thought that is old age, disease, death, these are natural, but these conflicts are artificial. Why are we fighting? So why this suffering, undue suffering, human made suffering, man made suffering?
So looking at the conflicts or the wars made him realize that humanity should be taken onto some different path. And after enlightenment, what he got? He got commitment to peace, he got commitment to non-violence, and that is antithesis of war. And it has been more than 2500 years since Buddha preached and Mahavira preached, but still if the wars continue to be there, and worse, if the wars continue to be glorified, I think that is the point of lamentation.
That is the point of lamentation. If somebody says that war has killed my father and not the enemy country, she is taken to task brutally.
Exactly. But again, here we are reminded of George Bernard Shaw, who also speaks against the two glorified notions, love and war. We have too much glorified love, we have too much glorified war. So Shaw is against war, Shaw is against the romantic concept of love. So these are very important assertions of Shaw. They need to be understood and re-understood by the modern people.
Definitely, Vinodji, someday we would bring Shaw for our listeners and viewers too.
Oh yes, exactly, because Shaw is greater than we believe.
Yeah. He is not only the witty comments. No, this is not Shaw. Witty comments are the offshoot of his deep thinking.
He's a profound thinker.
Yeah.
If we look at the commentary which runs at the subterranean level of his place, I think we all will be surprised to understand what he says.
Many times commentary is lengthy. I mean,
prefaces are lengthier
than the plays.
Oh yes, definitely. So, Shaw. Listeners, wait. Someday we'll bring before you the discussion on some of the plays of George Bernard Shaw. But for the time being, you ponder upon the core concept of this poem. How far it is right.
Vinodji, one interesting observation I have to make about your poem. You have not spelled out the curse of the mother, isn't it?
No.
But you have hinted at the possibility
that
if the war continues, the conflict continues to be glorified and encouraged and abated, then what would be the curse of the mother?
Because mother's curse is going to be terrible, because she is God, living God on the earth, and therefore we all have to be aware of the curse of mother, because it is going to be destructive. Perhaps we won't be left to think about the war. That kind of curse may come from mother of war, because blessings of mother can get you everything, but the curse of mother can snatch everything from you.
I mean, if the generation itself or regeneration itself curses, that would be the ultimate tragedy of the world. Maybe in the form of atomic annihilation.
Yes.
Maybe in the form of catastrophic climate change.
Maybe in the form of biological
warfare. Who knows? So perhaps it is the high time that we mend our ways, the humanity mends its ways.
So let me recite the poem again for the better understanding of our readers.
Sure.
Still echo words in the winds of world.
Here, Vinodji, I would just again stop you for 1 minute. I am reminded of Coleridge in his Kubla Khan.
Yes.
When he says, when he hears ancestral voices professing war. How inevitable is the conflict? How inevitable we have made it since generations, that ancestral voices professing war, one war after another, and we are haunted by the specter of the war. Still we just continue to glorify it, maybe because of the psychology of in-group hospitality is founded on out-group hostility.
Exactly, but the entire history of mankind, unfortunately, it is the history of only wars and battles.
That's it. And what a terrible history, what a bloody history to study.
15,000 wars have been fought in the last 5,000 years, of which we are aware of.
Yeah. So if such a history just we have to write with the blood, that's not really the history. Or if it is his story, then her story let it be different. The her stands for the principle of mother,
Exactly.
principle of regeneration.
Exactly. So this is really important. And again, we have been preaching Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Entire world is one family. This is possible provided wars are eliminated from the face of earth.
Yeah, surely. Let us hope for the day. Definitely, and work for it.
Still echo words in the winds of world. All wars are won.
And again, these two lines, sorry to interrupt you again and again, but the poem is so potent. These initial two lines, if you read them, they remind of whirlwind.
Still echo
Perhaps
words
it is the whirlwind of war.
in the winds of world.
World.
All wars are won. Troubled terraces, stunned Stetson, horrified Hercules, irritated Achilles, annoyed Arjuna,
Yeah.
with loathing looks, condemn their conscience. With one voice, they proclaim the greatest tragedy that can ever befall on mother carrying corpses of her own sons on shoulders. All mothers are one. Are you lunatic? Is no sense left? Don't you know? Young and healthy sons go to war. Be aware of curse of mother. Bewildered is Buddha. Mute is Mahavira. Numb is Nanak. Be aware of curse of mother. Be aware. Shukriya. Thank you.